the problem and fix the link, so I don't know.
And I can now see when it seems to be here. So you may want to unlock her and see.
And Chris, I was going to say, Chris, in my case, I went back to your original invitation.
All right.
Yeah.
Then there we are. All right, Chris, I think you have to call the meeting to order, and let's begin a rock and roll.
All right, I'd like to call the Wyndham Northeast Supervisory Union Elementary District to order as their annual reorganization meeting. First on the agenda, we have adjustments. Anyone have any adjustments to the agenda?
Mr. Superintendent, on the new business for discussion and action, I would like to put a B resolution, new business for discussion and action.
Okay, resolution will be under
I would like to
6B,
put
new
a
business for
B
discussion and action. If
resolution.
any other changes or adjustments to the agenda? Okay, seeing none.
Mr. Superintendent, let's
Yes.
also remove 4G because we will not be appointing representatives to the tech centers.
Okay, so we'll be removing 4G under reorganization of the board.
All righty. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other changes to the agenda? If none,
Jack and Chris, this is Cheryl. Did you want Jack to add a role for liaison to the Westminster Interim School Board?
That is part of the that 6B.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
any other changes or adjustments to the agenda? Okay, seeing none. Communication and public comment. Anyone from the public who is joining us right now, if you can either go into the chat or just speak up. Let me check the chat. I have nothing in the chat room right now. Communication and public comment.
All righty.
Okay. Seeing none. Number 4, reorganization of the board. First up, under 4A, election of a chairperson. Do I have any nominations for a chairperson for the Wyndham Northeast Supervisory Union Elementary School District?
I'll nominate Jack.
This is Cheryl. I'd like to, right, I was going to say I nominate Jack Breyer. So I think Melissa just took that. So Melissa Karlstrom nominated Jack Breyer to be chair of the school
And
board.
since we're operating under, we're still operating under formal rules, there is a second needed. So there it is.
Yep. So we have a second by Cheryl Charles. Any discussion? Any other nominations? Okay, so let's see. I would like to, we have a nomination for Jack Breyer as chair. I'll go around and take a roll call. Ginger, yay or nay?
Ginger's not quite yet ready. So
Cheryl,
Yes.
Melissa?
Yep.
Okay, the superintendent casts 1 vote for Jack Breyer as chair of the Wyndham Northeast Union Elementary School District. Jessa, how do you?
You have Jessa also.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So with that said, we have a board chair, Jack Breyer. Jack, congratulations, I guess.
yeah, I guess it's the right thing here.
And I'll hand the meeting over to you.
All righty. Moving on to 4B, election of vice chairperson. I'll entertain a nomination. Everybody's volunteering. So
Nominate Cheryl. You're our current vice, right?
correct. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Any other nominations? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to direct the chair to cast 1 ballot for Cheryl Charles as vice chair. I'm looking for that motion from someone. Hello?
Yes, so moved.
Thank you. Well, I was afraid that I'd lost my connection. All right, so the chair is voting to, actually, no, I need a roll call. So Jessa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yep, I'll do it.
Okay. Lynn, are you up yet? Lynn is technically inconvenienced. Who have I forgotten? Then I guess Cheryl, congratulations. Election of a clerk. For the record, the last time we had a clerk, it was we'd switched to Lynn. And hold on just a second, if you'll pardon me. Lynn, this is Jack Breyer. Are you able to get on yet?
We're working on it.
All right. Trying to figure out what to do. We are at the point of nominating a clerk to serve on the board.
Yes, we can see you, but we can't get in so that you can see and hear us.
We are finding that there's some sort of tech hiccup going on with Zoom this evening. And this
I think if you don't click the link, if you go to Zoom, like in your app or on the website, you can manually type in that meeting ID. I think it's just the last digit part of the URL, or I think Chris pasted the meeting ID number.
So I guess I would try that, Lynn. And if that fails, just call in and we'll try to do this as virtually, and I may just translate for you.
Jack,
Yes.
Arlene and I are on the same phone.
All right. So why don't you try that? When that fails, then we'll do it the way we're doing it right now. Okay?
All right, so take so
Jessa, what was that again?
I'm on on Chris's email. I go to the share and copy that in. Something put that into Zoom.
Yes.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
and it'll fail, but in your browser,
If
feel
you
like
go
it-
into- Yeah,
Oh.
I'm sorry to interrupt. If you go into your Google Calendar and use that link, that should work. And I'm sending her the other Zoom link that I just sent. And also I just reposted another link on the SU website so we can try that.
Where do you get it in the SU website? I couldn't find that.
It should be what with the,
Scroll down where it says Zoom meetings and you can tap in there and you should be able to get in.
I actually had to go to view all for the news because you added the data destruction link and it was basically one too many to display on my phone. So I had to click on it's like show all news.
Lynn looks like she's on the meeting, but she's muted. Is that all it is?
No, I can't see anything. It won't.
Oh,
It gave me something that said to wait.
yeah, and then just hung you up.
Didn't do anything.
Yeah.
All I do is hear.
Well, again,
Like notice information.
well, try what Jess is suggesting, and we can even I can just keep this phone live and you can let us know how it's going.
I've done everything on my end, and if it's not fixed, it's definitely has to be on Zoom's end because I've done it exactly how I've done it all the other times for board meetings. So I don't know exactly what the problem is. I also emailed Ricky, so maybe he'll check his email and see if he can go in there and take a look at it.
Well-
Yeah, the link on the SU website is not working, at least on my tablet.
Yeah.
But you can go to like zoom.com and it says join your meeting and you can type in that meeting ID number. It starts with 839 and that should bring it up for you. Instead of clicking on the link, just type zoom.com into your browser.
All right. So as I say, when I'm going to keep, and Darlene, I'm going to keep this phone live, and we will know, because we'll either see you or get wicked feedback when it finally works properly. All right?
Okay.
All right. I'm putting this phone down by me and we'll continue. So we are at election of clerk and I'm looking for nominations.
I nominate Lynn Morgan as clerk.
All right, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Excellent. Any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to direct the chair to vote, to cast one vote for Lynn Morgan as clerk of the Wyndham Northeast Unified Elementary School Board.
So moved.
All right. All in favor, do the roll. Melissa,
Yes.
Jessa,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Jack will say yes. And who have I forgotten? 1, 2, 3, 4. Lynn, do you agree to be the clerk of the board for the next year?
Sure.
Then there we are. All right. Let me just note, there is no D. I didn't notice that until just now. So we'll move on to appoint voting members to the Wyndham Northeast Supervisory Union Board. We have 3. So the last time, I believe it was Cheryl and Lynn and Jessa, if I recall. This doesn't necessarily have to be the same people.
That sounds correct.
Well, somebody want, I get to appoint them. I'm sorry. Hey guys, guess what? I'm appointing you to as voting members to the WNESU board, unless you say no real fast. Didn't say no real fast. Congratulations. Appoint truant officer. Actually, check that. Let's have the vote on this. I actually would feel more comfortable if I'm going to move that we appoint the following voting members to the WNESU: Cheryl Charles, Lynn Morgan, and Jessa West Clark. Is there a second?
Lynn second.
Lynn has seconded that. Any alternative slate or other members anyone would wish to have considered? Hearing none, let's do the roll once again. Melissa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jessa?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
And who have I forgotten?
Hey, Jace, will you do the dishes?
What?
Or never mind, I'll take care of the dishes after.
Nobody's volunteering to do the dishes, Melissa.
Oh. Sorry, it wasn't muted.
All right, so that's done. Appoint truant officer. Remind me, Mr. Superintendent, did we have the state police or the Bellows Falls police do that the last time around?
You had the Vermont State Police do it the last time around, and / it was HCRS, so you maybe worked with HCRS too, but you had the Vermont State Police.
All right. Is there any other suggested truant officer other than the Vermont State Police?
Sometimes you can have the Wyndham County Sheriff's Department is one. We would have to do a contract up with them.
All right.
We get charged.
I love the state police. Does anyone have a view on this? Any discussion?
Last time we went with the state police solely because we actually have to choose a law enforcement
Right.
agency, even though this is not a law enforcement issue. It's usually a crisis issue.
Right.
But the state police have trained social workers, and the other option could not guarantee that for us.
All right. So hearing that, I'm going to move that we appoint the Vermont State Police as our truant officer. Need a second.
I'll second that.
I heard Lynn second that. Then we will do the roll call. Melissa,
Yes.
Jessa,
No,
no. All right.
it's not a law enforcement issue. It's a public health issue.
Would you rather have us do HCRS?
We can't, apparently the rules say it has to be a police
Okay,
organization.
this is a philosophical thing. Got it.
It is.
All right, Cheryl.
Yes.
All right. And Lynn.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So it is 1, 2, 3 yeses, 1 no. That's what I've got here. Moving on, appoint warrant signers. I believe the last time we had any 2, and I will certainly make sure I'm one of them. Would you prefer to have designated warrant signers, or would you rather have the any 2 rule, folks?
I move that we designate any 2.
All right. Any discussion on this?
Just to clarify, I think it is any 2 of the 5 can sign. I think that's the way it is. Right.
That's what's being proposed here.
Yeah, and that has worked. Yeah, so
All right.
supportive.
All right. So again, the roll call. Melissa,
Yes,
Jessa,
I answered for Melissa, sorry. Also, yes.
all right. Cheryl,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
all right. I believe we have unanimity on that. Set time, place, and location of regular monthly meetings. Now, obviously, we are still in pandemic. Prior to that, we alternated between the libraries of the 2 schools. It'd be my preference that we determine the location once we determine that it's ready for us to go back to a physical locale. But I do think that time and date are important. And I would like to ask that we can give some consideration to the various town select board meetings, because there have been times when we wanted to communicate to them, and I know that there was a conflict with Athens, and I think at one point there was a conflict with Westminster. Does anybody know when the Westminster folks meet?
Yes, I do, Jack. This is Cheryl. They meet on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of each month.
Okay, so Wednesday, 2nd and 4th would be bad. I believe it's 1st and 3rd. Jesse, you can correct me if I'm wrong, for Grafton.
I know Grafton is Mondays,
Yeah.
so I think that's why we settled on Thursdays, because it also missed Athens as well.
Right. Well, the problem we have is that Athens is Thursdays, or are they still Thursdays, Lynn?
We're the 3rd Thursday.
3rd Thursday. Well, this is the 2nd, and we would presumably do 4th. So we'll be okay then. All right. I just wasn't clear on, I just want to make sure we could always report into the select boards, especially as we may be facing some transitional stuff the next year. Then I guess I would entertain a motion to set the date being the 2nd and 4th Thursdays, with the 4th Thursday being the optional one. And the question would be, do you want to do this 6 or do you want to do 6:30?
Jack, this is Cheryl. Just a clarification. Historically, the second, the fourth
Yeah.
of those was the required date. Was the optional was the first one, the first Thursday.
Okay.
I don't know whether we want to change.
You were absolutely correct on that. I transposed it and you're right. So there would be the 4th with the 2nd being the optional.
Correct. I think that's correct. And that is what we've been doing.
Yes. No, you
And
are.
I don't have a preference around time. If others do, that's fine.
Yeah, we had said 6 because we had this illusion that we get done early and have everybody in for dinner without wrecking people's schedules. But this is one in particular I defer to the parents of our school kids on this board. What would your pleasure be?
I prefer the earlier time, only because I go to bed super early and wake up super early.
All right, I think that was a consideration. Jessica, how about you?
I'm fine with either.
Let's set it at 6 o'clock, second and 4th Thursdays, with the second one being the optional one. And
No, the second one being.
second one being the option, the 4th being the mandatory. Did I follow that up yet
Yeah, oh,
again?
right. I'm sorry. You're right. You're right.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call. Melissa,
Yes.
Jessa,
Yes,
Cheryl,
Yes.
Lynn.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a yes. All right, so that's done. Establish the newspaper to be used to announce board functions and activities. I believe we are using the Brattleboro Reformer and whenever possible, sending materials to the weeklies or the monthlies of the various towns. Is that everybody's recollection on this?
Yeah, Jack, currently you have the Grafton News and the Athenia and the Brattleboro Reformer.
Okay, and it should also be the Westminster Gazette. I think that was intended, but just we may have dropped it somehow. Is that everybody's recollection and preference? Then I move that the newspaper to be used to announce school board functions and activities be the Brattleboro Reformer, and whenever possible to include the Grafton News, the Athenian, and the Westminster Gazette. Any discussion? Quiet group tonight. Melissa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jessa,
yes,
Cheryl,
Yes.
and Lynn?
Yes.
All righty. Then that covers all the items. Before we go on to committee assignments, I'm going to ask us to move 5G up, which actually is not Robert's Rules of Order, but in this case, Robert's Rules of Order for small boards. And I will entertain a motion to adopt Robert's Rules of Order for small boards.
So moved.
All right. Now, before we go on to committee assignments, because I'd like to be able to include a potential new member, I'm going to ask the board's permission to move 6A up at this time. And I want to do two things. I want to, the protocol would be to introduce a potential new member, to have this board vote to accept that new member, and then have the swearing in take place. And obviously it's a little weird. Darlene,
Yes.
are you able to swear in a member tonight virtually? Excellent. Then that would be what I would like to do. Ginger Majowski, I'm going to mess this up, I swear, has got a notable number of write-in votes from the town of Athens, suggesting that she should be considered as the representative for Athens on this board. And I would like her to introduce herself and to tell us all a little bit about herself. And then I will entertain a motion to place her on our board by vote of the board. So Ginger, tell us about yourself and say hi.
Hi, everybody. I've been involved with Athens my entire life. I haven't lived here all that time, but my grandfather bought the farm that we live on now in 1938. So I've been coming here since I was a kid and know a lot about town. But in between all that, I was teaching for many years in Springfield, Vermont. I taught K through 6, lots of different grade levels while I was up there. I retired in 2013. And my husband and I, in 2017, bought the farm from our family so that we now live here full time. And just have a real interest in the town because I've been involved for so many years, and also in education and on what's going on in our schools right now, having been a teacher for so many years. So I started out as an art teacher, and then I moved into regular classroom and taught second and third a good part of the time, but I also taught 6th grade for 5 years, and then I taught art to K through 6 for quite a few years. So kind of been in a lot of different grade levels and at a lot of different schools. I taught in Elm Hill School in Springfield, at Union Street, at Riverside, and also at Park Street when it was open. So been involved with a lot of different schools as well, and quite familiar with what teachers are going through now with the pandemic. My daughter's a teacher, and she also taught up in Springfield with me for some of those years, and now she's teaching over in Concord, New Hampshire. So yeah, that's kind of a short version of where I've been and how I got where I am now.
Well, thank you.
If anybody has any questions?
Yes. Anyone have some questions for Ginger? How about you, Lynn? Do you have any questions for this interloper? I heard laughter. That was good. I hear that she is welcome, and I personally think that's great and agree. I believe the protocol here is that the board formally nominate and accept Ginger Majowski as a member of this board on her swearing in, with the full rights and whatever privileges, such as they are. And so I need a roll call, to discussion and roll call. Is there any discussion on this?
Wonderful. Welcome. Great to have her aboard.
All right. Then we'll do the roll one more time because it's fun. Melissa,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Jessa,
Yes.
who have I forgotten? Oh, Lynn, do I hear hesitation on the phone? I didn't hear any hesitation. All right, and I'm going to add mine to make it unanimous. At this time, and this is going to be hilarious, we're going to have a very weird swearing-in ceremony. So, Darlene, what do we have Ginger do? You're swearing her in. Tell us how this goes.
Okay, she needs to raise her right hand
Raise your right hand.
and repeat after me.
Repeat after her.
I do solemnly swear or
You-
affirm
You do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute the office
that you will faithfully execute the office
that I will faithfully execute the office
to which I have been elected
to which you have been elected
to which I have been elected
and will bear and do equal right and justice
and will bear and do equal right and justice
and will bear and do equal right and justice
to all men in the best of my judgment,
to all men and women in the best of your judgment,
to all men and women in the best of my judgment
and abilities according to law,
and abilities according to the law.
and abilities according to the law.
I also solemnly swear or affirm
It's a long one. You also solemnly swear and affirm
I also solemnly swear and affirm
I will support the Constitution of the State of Vermont,
you will support the Constitution of the State of Vermont
I will support the Constitution of the State of Vermont
and of the United States,
and of the United States.
and of the United States.
so help me God.
So help you God.
So help me God.
That's it.
Congratulations. I believe you are now a member in good standing of this august body.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Darlene. Have a good dinner. You can hang in and be bored, whichever you like. And Lynn, unfortunately, she's stuck with us. All righty. Thank you all. Well, now that we have members to stick on to committees, we want to get on to the business of committees. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. There is buildings and grounds. Buildings and grounds is general responsibility is to help us both note what needs to be done on the facilities and any other issues involving them. And this year it involved things like helping us get tents during the fall and making certain that the paint job is up to snuff and just generally getting people familiar with the outlines of the buildings. Is there any other things that Buildings and Grounds does that anybody remembers? Chris, did I forget something?
I think you pretty much have it covered. Mostly it's things when you get into like playgrounds, and I think at one point last year at the Grafton School, there was something sticking up near the playground.
Right.
Just once in a while, taking a go through the school and the grounds and seeing if we need to add anything to long-term planning or short-term necessities.
And yearly, we will do a walkthrough of the buildings, which is something that I think is always a good idea for new members and just generally, because not everybody is familiar with the buildings that they oversee. So we're going to make sure everybody gets that opportunity. So are there anybody interested in being a B&G specialist?
Can I ask a question first?
Yeah.
I'm curious. Obviously, I, like many, only have so much time in my life. How is being on the Westminster Interim Board, like the responsibility, how much responsibility are people going to have that are on that committee?
Well, we
And
have, yeah.
do Westminster residents stay on this board? And for how long?
All right, all good questions. Let me walk you through my understanding, and bear in mind, it is my understanding. It is not anybody else's understanding, but I am the chair, so that helps. The interim school board that was elected by the town of Westminster at present does not have legal standing as a board under state law. It still functions as a committee of the town, of the select board of the town of Westminster until such time as the SBE says otherwise. I anticipate this evening creating a liaison of 2 people, and I'll bet you can guess who the 2 are, to communicate with that body and to be the primary correspondent. I think that it's legitimate to ask how much that's going to be. I don't candidly know. I think that's one of the things that I spoke to Cheryl today ex parte on this and said that I believe that the roles and responsibilities of that committee, of the interim board that Westminster's created, is something that has to be delineated for you by your counsel, Larry Slayson. And I believe that one of the things you're going to need advice on is how much you own the process of going before the SBE as opposed to the select board. It is my guess that the select board still carries that water. But you certainly could be their spokespeople on the matter. But Larry's, you're going to be your go-to guy on that. And I do recognize that you all might want to be limited, but I think in this case, one of the buildings, actually the only building actually owned by this body is the Westminster Community School. And therefore, it might be really smart to have one of you two on that, if only to give advice as to what might need to be done to the building once you take full possession of it, assuming the SPE lets you. How's that? Okay. And, you know, again, bearing in mind, you know, right now, technically, you're not a legally constituted body as far as the state's concerned, except to the extent that the select board delegates responsibilities to you, but they cannot legally delegate any oversight of education until the SPE tells you you can. Obviously, since two of you are on both boards, you know, we'll be sensitive to that. Okay, is that fair? All right, so again, moving on to the idea of having at least two members own the process of B and G, looking for at least two members. And if you would rather have me appoint them or signal your interest offline, we can do that if you think that'd be better. Not hearing a whole lot of enthusiasm. I'm going to take that as encouragement to appoint you all offline, and I will do that. And that way you can say, what have you done to me, and turn me down without public embarrassment. How's that? Budget and finance. Again, this is another area where I would encourage at least one of you two Westminster people to be on, because if there is a joint budget or a separate budget, or more likely both, like we did this year, I think it's going to be important to have at least one of you on it. So figure out who wants to be the buildings person and who wants to be the budget person.
Well, this is Cheryl. I'm happy to serve on the Budget and Finance Committee.
Well,
Yeah.
Melissa, guess what you're going to be asked to serve on when I call you up later.
I'll
Ginger,
do the buildings one, that's fine.
Ginger, what would you
That
like?
didn't seem too big.
Ginger, newest member of our merry band. Do you have any interest in either of these two?
Well, I'd like to know a little more about what these other ones are. Like, I don't know what CIP team rep is or what these other things involve that are on the list here.
All right, let's if with the indulgence of the board, let's just kind of walk through this. There is a single representative of the joint negotiations committee of the boards. And that means one member of all boards. I took this one on myself last year, and frankly feel that since we haven't agreed to anything yet, probably I ought to stick it out until we do. But that's what that is. Audit is actually audit and methods, but the audit committee is sort of the processes committee. Not only do they look at the audit, the fiscal audit, but if there are operational things going on at the at our school or at the SU, there is a joint committee of the high school board, the Rockingham board, and us that oversees that. We spent a lot of time last year on financial reporting stuff. This year, I think we might spend time on more general ops stuff. I know there's some real interest in things like the website, and those kind of things is what they do. Policy. Policy is a heavy lift this year, but it's an important lift. policy, we would normally go through about a third of our policies every year. But when Mr. Pratt took over, we had the mother of all technical hiccups and about 7 years worth of policies that were held in electronic form did what you never want them to do. So we're going to be, normally these would be pretty cursory overviews, but this year we're really going to have to look at them because the ones that we have in paper form, a lot of them are like 7, 8, 9 years old, and we got to clean that up. So those are the committees. I would like everybody to at least be on one, because and CIP. Chris, Lynn, you can correct me on this, but we do have a rep on CIP, right? And that is the continuous improvement plan, and that's the whole continuous improvement plan that every school district has to do in terms of educational results and procedures, and that's what the CIP does. And I'm messing that one up, but tell me how I messed it up, Wynn or Chris.
No, I think we're changing. It'll be changed for next year because of COVID. Right now, it's the continuous improvement plan. The state's saying next year we're not going to have our continuous improvement plan. What we're going to have is the recovery plan. Recovery plan is pretty much what we're going to need to put in place to recover from these past year and I don't know what 4 months that we've been dealing with the COVID stuff. So that's pretty much the difference between the two.
Yeah.
It doesn't take up a lot of time. What it is the recovery, the SIP team or the recovery team will look at the plan or start developing the recovery plan, and then once we have it completed, we bring members of the board around the table to take a look at it to see if we've missed anything, ask questions that the other board members might have or their constituents might have. So it's really a position of checks and balances for the team that puts it together and make sure we're not missing anything and listen to the guidance of the board.
Right. When were you the CIP rep last year? I'm trying to remember who did it. Oh, Cheryl's got her hand up. Apparently, Cheryl.
Yeah, and I think I went to a meeting as a representative for Westminster for something too.
I have Melissa and Cheryl as from last year.
Okay. As I say, what I think I would like to do with everyone's indulgence, and unless someone has an objection, is I would like to use my prerogative to assign people, but I will be calling you in the next day or so, certainly before Monday, to confirm with you your interest, and you can either tell me those now in public, or if you can tell me them, which they really are in private, whichever you want.
This is an unsolicited recommendation from Cheryl, but I think that'd be a great place for Ginger with her experience as an educator. And it's all about curriculum. It's all about what we accomplish. So, to both of you, I urge you to consider that possibility.
I was considering it ahead of you.
CIP.
Yeah, I mean, this would be, you'll be getting in the weeds a little bit, but I will, really be interested in your assessment and feedback, since I suspect you've participated in these exercises on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Let's see, what else do we have on the thing we have done? Oh, review and approve minutes of February 11th. Do we have those minutes available? I didn't see them. Did anybody see them? Because
I don't know if we put them out or not. We might have missed that one, Jack.
What?
We can put it on the agenda for the next meeting. I was trying to keep all boards focused on just the reorganization piece.
That is fine. There are items that we could discuss for action, but I don't think it's useful at this point. This is, as I say, the organizational meeting. And, oh, whoops, forgot. I had suggested that we have as the other new business was a resolution. And let me suggest to you what the resolution should be. As you all know, the town of Westminster voted to withdraw from the Wyndham Northeast Unified Elementary School District back in January. We have had confirming votes to approve this by both the Athens and Grafton communities. There will be a process where this will be brought before the State Board of Education. That process will be led by the town of Westminster, as it was their petition to withdraw. However, I think it's important to do two things. One is to formally recognize that vote and to pledge to adhere to the wishes of our voters. So that's one. And two, to appoint 2 members of this board to liaison with the town of Westminster and their appointed, and I guess elected, interim school board. So I'm going to move that the Wyndham Northeast Unified Elementary School District recognize the votes of the towns of Westminster, Athens, and Grafton regarding the withdrawal petition of the town of Westminster from this district, to adhere to and work in the spirit of supporting that vote, and appoint 2 members of this body to be the liaison with the town of Westminster's elected members of their interim school district. So that is my motion. I know we don't normally have a second, but because we're going to be doing, actually we haven't done did we do the Robert's Rules of Order for small boards yet? Somebody help me.
You posed it, but we didn't vote on it.
Well, okay, we will, then this is still under formal rules. So I do need a second.
Second.
Discussion on this matter. And let me just see if there is any. I'm going to lead a little bit. We have been very, very careful on this board not to put our thumb on the scale at any point in this process, because we felt that it would not be appropriate to do so, and some of us have been fairly mouthy about it all prior to Westminster's petition. And because of that, I feel that we have had an obligation to be very circumspect in our views about the situation. But now that there is votes of the 3 towns, I believe we have an obligation to act in support of our constituents and make sure that we don't put any barriers from this board up on the process. So that's all I've got to say about it. I'm curious to know if anyone else has anything they'd like to add. Boy, I'm not hearing a word. Wynn, you want to say anything, or everybody else is being silent, but you can break the silence. Ginger, since this is new, if you want to ask a question like, what the heck are we doing? That would be fine.
Well, I'm just trying to get used to what is going on with the Act 46 and the withdrawal, because I don't know all the background and what's legally going to happen from all of these votes that we've gotten.
Wynn, Cheryl, you want to do this instead of me? I'm getting tired of hearing myself.
Ginger, kind of quickly, I can say that what brings us to this moment in time now is that on March 2nd, with Athens and Grafton, the voters in each of those towns voting to approve the withdrawal of Westminster based on Westminster's vote to withdraw last January, I think. sure about the date right now, but at any rate, the voters in 3 towns have voted to approve Westminster's withdrawal from the Wyndham Northeast Unified Elementary School District. The school district, as Jack said properly early in this conversation, will continue. It will continue with representation from Grafton and Athens. It's simply one town that has chosen to withdraw, and that request has been honored by the voters in the other 2 towns. The next step is to take that approved request to the State Board of Education. In addition to that, though, as a part of the process, when the Westminster voters voted to withdraw, the articles that they voted on at the time said, should the voters vote to withdraw, then the select board of the town of Westminster would approve or appoint an interim school board. That happened last night.
Okay.
The select board of Westminster voted to appoint an interim school board. And that interim school board does include Melissa Karlstrom and myself, both elected members of this board, and 3 people, all of whom have been previously elected to be town advisors to the school board in Westminster. So every one of the 5 of these appointees to the interim board has had some public vote to ask them to serve in some role related to the schools in Westminster. With that interim board in place, the next step is to work with legal counsel in Westminster, and it's the select board's responsibility actually to take the lead to go forward to request the State Board of Education to honor the votes of the townspeople here. So Jack has described everything properly and accurately this evening, and what he has posed with this action tonight is simply support for the votes of the people in these towns. And then he's asking us as a board to make sure we have communication in this process of change. It should be very clear that the Unified School Board has all the responsibility until that changes.
Right.
And so Melissa and I, as elected members representing Westminster, have a duty to serve on this board until Westminster is withdrawn. That's how that part of it goes. So that's where we are at the moment. I hope that helps.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know how long the process is for the state to approve this. Does anybody have a time frame, or do they know of?
Theoretically, they could take it up at their next meeting if they warrant it to that effect. I expect that not to be the case. When the last time this was brought up, it took almost a year before the state got around to looking at it. I don't anticipate it will be anything remotely like that. One of the other reasons why we're doing this is I was mildly uncomfortable with putting Melissa and Cheryl in a position where they are having a conflict of interest, because they are on this board and have been asked to be on this other entity. The other members of this interim board are already town officials. They are the advisory committee of the town of Westminster on matters of education. By our appointing Cheryl and Melissa to this entity, which is my intent to do, then Cheryl and Melissa have essentially the permission as elected members to act on our behalf to engage in this. Essentially, depending on how the state looks at it, it is either a legal entity or it is a joint committee. It's a joint committee of two entities, the town and the school board. So this is called dotting your I's and making certain nobody's put in an uncomfortable or weird position. Also, candidly, this board has its principal mission running the school. getting the budget out, doing the things we do. And it's important that we stay on that and not get pulled into the SPE process, except when we're asked to approve materials for them, such as, you know, if we ask the administration for some supportive data, which could see happen.
What is SBE?
The State Board of Education, the Borg.
Got it.
And we have had multitude of evaluations of this process. Some say that this is sort of an absolutely wonderful but futile gesture. Others think that that prior acts of the legislature allow towns to withdraw from districts if this process we've just gone through is done, and that in fact the SPE is basically there to rubber stamp it. We'll find out how it works when we get there. And we have spent a lot of time cautioning the citizens of the towns that this could go either way, and we like each other no matter what happens, and we'll just see what happens. We'll just see where we go. There you go. That's about it. So you've heard the motion. We are recording this, correct, Chris, in case we need to tidy this up in writing?
Yeah, I have all the transcripts, and Fact TV is recording it as well.
Great. All right.
Really? I don't see that. That's good.
I see Fact TV on here, so I'm assuming that that's what worst comes to worst. And I know what I think I said, and we'll find out if in fact that's what I said when we go to Fact.
Yeah, I have the transcript. The transcripts are created behind the scenes.
Thank
All
you.
right. Then we will, when we approve this, we'll want to examine that when we review the minutes next time we meet. We'll want to review that carefully to make sure we got the wording. Chris, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I just also want to mention is that Nicole informed me while everyone was talking that the minutes were part of the board agenda packet that went out. So they are there if you wanted to go and approve them tonight.
I'm going to just say, since I haven't read them because I didn't know they were there, that I wouldn't mind waiting just because it'll make me feel silly if I approve something I haven't read. I'll defer to the rest of you. If you want to approve them tonight, we can do that. Any thoughts?
I'm fine for waiting till next meeting.
I heard Lynn say she's fine to wait. I'm seeing Cheryl nod the same thing. I think we have and Ginger.
I don't have them, so I can't read them.
So let's hold those off till the next time, and let us do the roll. And I'm going to start with Ginger. Do you approve?
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Jessa,
Yes.
and Lynn.
Yes.
Lynn says yes. So we have done that. Now let's do the adopt Robert's Rules of Order for small boards. Small boards means that I don't have to make you wait your turn if you want to talk, although I reserve the right to make you wait your turn. Small boards also means I can call on you without your hand up and ask you your opinion. And it means that I don't have to get a second for everything. So and as long as you're a board under 12, you can do these things in the state of Vermont, and we definitely are. I will entertain a motion to adopt Robert's Rules of Order for small boards.
So moved.
I see Cheryl and I see Lynn as a second, or hear Lynn as a second. Any discussion of this? Not thinking we'd get any. Let's do the roll yet again. Melissa,
Yes.
Jessa,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Lynn.
Yes.
Lynn says yes. Ginger.
Yes.
All righty. Well, then I believe that concludes our program with the exception of director's comments. And this is when you get to say whatever you want to say for as long, well, not as long as you want to say it, but within reason. Cheryl, any thoughts?
Well, here we go again with now another election and a new commitment to serving on this board. And it continues to be an honor, a privilege and a responsibility. And I really cherish actually working with each of you. So thank you.
Very good, thank you. Melissa?
Yeah, I just want to ditto what Cheryl said.
Consider yourself ditto, Melissa. Lynn,
I'll
speak
pass
up,
it.
Lynn.
Nothing at this moment.
Lynn is quietly saying that she will not talk because she can't be heard anyway. Ginger,
Just want to thank you all for welcoming me onto the board, and I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you better and getting involved.
and my comment is just a thanks to all the folks who elected all of our new members. I'm always grateful to get votes from anybody on these, and I'm gratified that people decided that they wanted me to serve again. And just a great welcome to Ginger. I expect that she will be a great addition to our group here. And my thanks to everyone that's participated on this withdrawal process, because it's been onerous. It probably won't get less so. And I also want to give shout out to all of the advisory boards who worked very long with very little recognition to present information to our community so there would be an informed vote and not just a vote. Thank you all. I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor, wave your hand while turning off your computer. Good
Have a
night.
good night, everybody. Ginger,
Night.
welcome aboard, Ginger.
Thank you, Chris.
Night.
Good night.
When you're off the hook.